Good evening, cheeseheads, and welcome to another episode of the Cheese Room podcast. I'm your host with the most, the caller this evening, and I've been studying hard on the subject matter in hand. Great book, by the way. If no one's read it, you can have my copy. Joining me tonight, all the way from, I would like to say Brazil, but he's currently in Portugal. Brendan, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, it's lovely to be in Lisbon. I'm just seeing my 2-week quarantine out here in a beautiful Airbnb with beautiful views. So, loving it, mate.
Was it that or Chigwell?
It was this or the Holiday Inn Bath Road by Heathrow.
Ooh, that is a good one.
And nah, not for me.
And do you still have to pay like the huge isolation fee? No.
No. That's only UK. If I'd have gone direct from
Unfortunately,
Brazil
Brendan's
to London,
internet's a bit
quarantine
patchy.
hotel, I'd be able to.
Brendan's internet's a bit
His internet
patchy
gone.
because obviously he's in an Airbnb, but generally it'll be all right, I think. Franco, how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it, at the moment? Every single day you wake up to a new manager being linked to us, so it feels like we had to do another video, doesn't it?
All the same managers, just round and round and round.
It's not. They are genuinely new ones. That's the thing. I know, people have been talking about Poch a bit, but you'll be able to talk about the betting odds in a moment and how he's now the favourite. So it's been a different favourite every single time. I think we've done a video now.
What I can safely say is Sky Bet have cleaned up on this due to the release of many rumours over a couple of weeks, and they're probably hoping this drags on for another couple of weeks. Let's be honest, unlike all Spurs fans, there is a massive sort of thirst on Twitter. If you look on the Twitter sphere, why haven't we appointed someone straight away? It's like, everyone wants it and they want it yesterday. If you're watching along with us tonight, do drop us. I heard someone the other day on a rival channel, smash that like button, smash up that like button. So if you could do that for us, that'd be great, and subscribe, that would be awesome. And do put your questions, and I will get them to Franco and Brendan during the show. So first up, the hot news of today is after a day out of the focus, because I think Conte was sort of maybe in focus a little bit more yesterday. We'll come to Antonio in a minute. Pochettino has now moved to, and I'm just looking on Sky Bet, 4-11. 4-11 odds-on favourite to take the job. Franco, what are you saying about this? I mean, what is going on?
I know I'm getting more cynical and sceptical as I get older, but still, I just can't see Poch doing that. I think we spoke earlier, and I said the one thing that would make me think maybe he's considering it is that PSG only gave him 18 months, and I imagine that at the end of the 6 months they probably said, right, we'll see how you get on, start with, and then look at maybe extending it. Because it's not really it doesn't show much trust in him, does it? Most managers get at least a 4-year contract these days. So to only get 18 months is a bit like suck it and see. And he didn't win the league. He improved them slightly. He's not been, won the cup, but that was it. So he's not been as successful as maybe they would have wanted him to be. So maybe he's thinking about it and he's thinking, well, maybe I want to go back to Daniel and Spurs and prove myself. But the way I see it, I just don't. Why would he not want to have a summer where he's probably got more money to spend at PSG than he will do at nearly any other club this summer? And also, he's got a pretty decent team there already. He's got some world-class superstar players that he can work with. So this is a big opportunity for him. And some people in our Patreon chat were saying it's a step down coming to Spurs, which I don't necessarily agree with. In some respects, it definitely is.
It is.
But he can definitely win a league a lot easier than in many other leagues in Europe at the moment if he stays in France.
Yeah.
And he's got a good chance at another push at the Champions League. So I can't see why he would want to leave unless something bad was going on in the background or he didn't feel like it was right. And sometimes, you have to take opportunities when they present themselves in football because they don't, nothing ever aligns perfectly. He's still got his house in London and, his son's playing at Watford still. So he's still got family here and a reason to be. I think he's actually in London at the moment after the end of the French season. So yeah, there's lots of ties here and I can understand that, but it's far too soon. I'm fully up for Poch coming back to Spurs at some point, but I just think he needs to go away and spend a bit of time being a coach somewhere else first.
he needs to discover himself, doesn't he? He needs to go away and discover himself.
He needs to walk off into the desert. Yeah.
Yeah. He needs some time to reflect on what the hell happened in the last 9 months at Tottenham, where I think it's a fact that in his last 9 months he had no away wins whatsoever. So probably some time to reflect on that and think about what he could do differently next time.
Well, let me just make this point as well, is that a lot of Spurs fans were very upset to see him go, but you kind of forget what it was like the whole year before that, how grumpy he was all the time, how he was kind of like, wasn't really distancing himself from other managerial jobs that might have been around. The fact that before the Champions League, he said, I might quit after the Champions League. There's a load of things that you could see he wasn't happy about. And I know a lot of the Levy haters are going to say it's because he wasn't backed. And there probably is an element of truth in that. He probably was frustrated with the way things were working out at Spurs. So it wasn't like everything was brilliant. You've just mentioned like the results for ages were terrible. Like that run of 24 games or whatever was just a terrible run of football. And the mood there was generally not great. And we had some terrible results. Like getting smashed by Bayern Munich is a serious low point in like my Spurs history, let alone just his managerial history. So like that was a really bad result to take. And we'd already fallen quite a long way from where we were at his peak. So it's not like it was, he was scraping us into the Champions League spot. So it's not like everything was brilliant. But now we kind of, after Jose, that's one thing Jose has done, has made us realise how much we miss Poch, the personality and the feeling he brought to the club. I think it's too soon for him to come back and start again.
I think you're probably right. Brendan, I mean, how did we get here? Back to Pochettino after 18 months. So, yeah, I know Franco's given me his thoughts. What are yours, mate?
Well, I hope my internet holds out. I'm quite cynical as well. I think this is a bit... It reminds me of the Rivaldo story that I don't think this is going to... This looks like a move to appease the fans. I think Levy will come back and say, I tried. There are too many moving parts or some kind of excuse. So I'm very sceptical about the Poch news.
I think we just need to put it out there. When we say excuse... That kind of intimates that PSG are just letting that happen. So I don't, he may well be genuinely chasing Pochettino. That doesn't necessarily mean that he can make it happen. So I'm not sure excuse would be the right word.
Well, I think that it's. I still think Conte is the stronger candidate. I just think that Poch. I'd still take Poch back as well. If Conte does decide to go to Real, which would be the logical choice for him after leaving Inter, then. If he does genuinely want to join Tottenham, I take him at Tottenham over Poch, but I still would love to see Poch back. I get that his track record in the last 9 months wasn't acceptable, but we have a culture at the club of not refreshing our squad. The squad, there wasn't enough upheaval, not enough incoming and outgoing in terms of the playing staff, and that will affect certainly the way Poch plays. That will affect your ability to drive results. So I'm for him coming in, but I'd still, if Conte's genuinely wanting to come, I'll take Conte.
Another interesting point that HG made earlier is that you look at some of the players we're looking to get rid of. Lucas, a lot of people probably argue, Winks, Sissoko, Aurier, they're all players that Poch likes and played over other players when he had the opportunity not to. So there's a massive concern. Imagine he comes back now, though, and they're like, right, we need to refresh the squad. Yeah, he'll be like, I can't do it, guys.
Sissoko straight into the starting 11. Next thing you know, it's like Champions League final revisited, left, right, and centre.
Yeah, exactly.
Be a disaster. For the callers' money, I know I give Poch some stick about being a loser, and you've called me out on it before, and that's fair. Here's where I'm really at. Right, Poch never won anything with us, despite having the best side and the best chance of winning anything, I think, in my lifetime. He couldn't get us over the line. He needs to go away, get PSG over the line several times, like properly over the line. I don't mean their Poxy League Cup. I mean he needs to win the league, do something in the Champions League. When I say discover himself, that's what I mean. I think for him, he needs to go away and do that. And surely, if it was me and it was a choice between going and working with Daniel Levy and having, a bag of peanuts and a few quid to try and spend on players, or one country's sovereign wealth, and you can almost play like fancy football with it, then I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Even if it's only for another year, then I know what I'm doing. And I think you raised a good point earlier, Franco, that he's been there 6 months. it's crazy amount of time. We've only just had Mourinho in. I genuinely think. I mean, I put a poll up today on Twitter. I had about 100 people responded to it, and something like 62% of people wanted Poch back. But I think it's the misty memories, all that sort of rose-tinted spectacles kind of thing. Because the last year we were terrible under Poch. We were absolutely terrible. And the players are the same now. So how's it going to get better?
This is the other thing as well. I mean, I saw another poll that was 80%. There's definitely a bit of that, but there's a lot of good feeling for Poch. The other thing that I've always thought about Poch is he really that good in the transfer market? And I know people will say that at Spurs it didn't matter because he was hindered by what Levy would do. But look at some of his signings at Southampton. He bought who was the guy? Osvaldo up front, and there was a few other players he bought. You were just a bit and then he adds a decent sort of backroom staff supporting him. I'm not sure about how good he is at identifying players. And that's the thing. Everyone expects that if you're a good coach and you can manage a team and get them playing well, that you must be good at everything. And I don't think that's always the case. They're very definite skills. And that would worry me a little bit. I kind of hope that when we got Jose in, he would be able to use all of his connections in the football world to pull off some amazing deals and get some players in. And apart from the fact we got Doherty, what we felt was cheap at the time, and then the fact that we got Reggie, that kind of felt like Jose might have had some influence into that. But really, it's not like his status in the game afforded us anything, did it really? There was no players that you were like, wow, that's a real coup getting that player. So I think a lot of the conversations we're having is about you need a better setup. And it still seems like Hitchin is going to be around. Levy promoted him less than 6 months ago. He's not going to get rid of him, I don't think, from that position. So that's what concerns me more than anything, is that you need somebody that's going to get rid of at least 5 or 6 players that we need to get rid of and then get better replacements in. So it's a big ask, and I'm not sure the manager alone is going to be able to sort this situation out.
I do agree with that. Let's just go to what people are saying a little bit. The HG of the cheese room is here watching. Hi HG, good evening. And this is a really good point. Sad but true. Pochettino doesn't care about domestic trophies, and he won't care about the Conference League either. Now, when we go back to when we fired Pochettino, for a lot of the fans, it was very much like, we'll take rather than having top 4, we'll have a League Cup win or we'll have an FA Cup win. As it transpired under Mourinho, we got neither, but we wouldn't get any of that under Pochettino, would we, Bren? He's proved that in the past, hasn't he?
Yeah, everyone harks back to the playing Son at left wing back against Chelsea in the semi-finals. It didn't show that he was taking that game seriously, which is a worry. Obviously, we want domestic trophies, but I think that prolonged period under Poch, no, we weren't complaining then. We were enjoying the football. We were enjoying the results. We were enjoying being right up there, challenging on the pitch, up the table. So I can't see how any of. I still think that Poch would be an incredible signing for us if he does come. I wouldn't say no.
Franco, just on the same point, domestic cups don't mean anything to him.
It's a bit harsh. I mean, we did get to, what year was it, 2015? We got to the League Cup final against Chelsea, and I thought we gave a decent account of ourselves.
Was that the year he joined?
I thought
it was first. No, United was much before that. That was the year after the first time we won it against Chelsea. No, so it was. I think it was 2015. It was his first season in charge. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it must have been. It was. And all right, we lost that 2-0, but I felt like we gave a fairly good account of it. I was quite pissed at that game, but we gave a fairly good account of ourselves from what I remember in my drunk haze. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's entirely true, but yeah, there's definitely a case if he doesn't take it seriously, but that's because the pressure was always to get that top 4 spot. So, I mean, I can't imagine that if he's told, right, we need to win a trophy, that he won't go, all right, I'll try and win as a trophy. But it's that pressure of balancing, isn't it? And I think he's always been quite happy to push them aside. And you look at the things he said in interviews, HG is quite right. He's basically said, look, the thing for us is to progress and to be better and better, and therefore get higher in the league. And he's seems to be less concerned with League Cups and FA Cups, definitely. So yeah, but it's not like like you say, Jose didn't really do too much. But I know we got to a final. But
just a quick point also on the domestics is that Man City have won how many consecutive League Cups?
4.
So
Well,
4.
yeah.
There we go. So let's count those out because that's their cup. So it just leaves the FA Cup. And again,
That's
I
their cup.
didn't. What?
Well, yeah,
It
maybe,
is.
but I think the point is, Brendan, if we didn't put the kids out in it, then maybe we'd have a chance of doing something in it.
Did anyone else not? It's like they won it. They win it every year. I don't mind not winning a Carabao.
Bren's got a decent argument. I mean, I've said this plenty of times. It doesn't excuse it, but if you look at the history of who's won the FA Cup and the League Cup since the Premier League's inception, basically, it's a very small club of people. And in the last sort of 15, 20 years, it has been like Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Man City. They've pretty much dominated it, and there's been a few wins by other clubs here and there. But like, who was it? Man City absolutely smashed Watford, was it, a few years ago? Like beat them 5-1 or whatever it was, 5-0. It's just, like other teams get to the final, but Man City have dominated it. So there is a certain argument about that. Like if you, I don't know. I don't think Jose was too confident we were going to beat them in the final either. But yeah, I mean, we've been good enough to win cups. That's the thing. If you can come second in the league and third in the league, then you should be good enough to win a cup final. And we've got close with semi-finals and stuff like that. We've just on the day we've just not done it.
Yeah, that's true. A reminder: if you're watching tonight for the first time or haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe to our channel and absolutely hit the like button and drop us a comment. Let us know you are here tonight. We'll try and get through as many comments as possible while we're on the air. Daniel Harrison taking a slightly contrary view. Disagree with HG's comment. He didn't care, but I think he would change his stance. Kane wants to win trophies, so he's persuaded to stay. He will need to keep. Brendan, do you think if Pochettino did, in this surreal universe we live in, come back to Spurs, do you think that Kane might change his want-away status?
No, I don't think it changes anything really. I don't think that. I think he's the fans. This is what I said when I first saw the news. It's like this looks like Levy's preparing for a backlash for something bad to happen, because the fans love Poch. There was a great connection with him. So I think that this is using the Pochettino idea to soften the blow of losing Kane. Kane's gone. Like, this made me even more certain that Kane is gone than news today about Poch coming in. Yeah.
Franco.
What's hang on? But do you think that Poch is going to come in then, Bren?
Yeah, I do. I think Poch is. Well, it just was really weird. It was a weird scenario, but I thought that just the news, the thought of Poch coming back, in Levy's mind, knowing how he thinks.
I don't know how he thinks,
but you know what I mean. Like, this looks like a move to make us feel, to soften the blow from Kane going. That
would be my concern. Is that if he's literally thinking, right, we'll get Poch in, it can only be for that reason, like to appease the fans, because he is the firm, he's the firm favourite. As soon as his name was mentioned, all the polls that we've seen the last few days, Pochettino, bang, 80%. Didn't you have nobody voted for Potter whilst like 2 weeks ago people were kind of on board with it?
In fairness, one poor soul did, and it wasn't me. I don't know who it was, but someone.
Oh, that was me.
Was it you? Was it?
Just to skew your poll, I was like, have that. But 2 days ago it was Conte. It's like there's a definite preference you can see now, and you could tell that Poch was always going to be the favourite, and he would be probably a fan's favourite with like 60-70% of the fan base. He's one manager that you could see that a majority of fans would get on board with, and I don't think you've got that with many others. Conte may be the other one. Potter, people aren't too convinced about. All the others, nobody really knows too much about or uncertain about. So it makes sense.
Let me ask you this.
But from the Kane point of view, I think Bren's right. I don't think Kane would go, all right, Poch is back, I'm staying I'll commit to a 5-year contract. If a Son loves him, Son might sign a contract. But yeah, I think Kane's ambitions rely on us doing something on the pitch, and I think we've got one season to do it. And even then, I think he's probably going to leave now anyway.
Oh, you've your little faith. Right. On that point, Phil Ambrose says, I wonder if Conte would be more likely to persuade Kane to stay over Poch. Again, I was gonna stick with you on that, Franco, if I may. Do you think whoever's the manager, you think there's one season basically, and that's it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think the most we can do now is hold on to Kane for one season, because realistically, we're not gonna smash the league next year. We'd have to do too much. So really, for any of this to happen, Levy needs to spend money now. He needs to realise if he wants to keep hold of Kane, he wants us to push forward with him for the next few years, he's got to spend money this summer. He's just got to be brave. Yeah, but that's what I said. If you're banking, I think I commented on the last video you were doing saying this, didn't I? I'll flesh out my point a bit better. If you're assuming we're going to get 120 million or something for Kane next year, then spend that money now. Spend it, be ambitious, buy some players, have a decent go at it next year. And then if we make it to the Champions League, then you can have that conversation with Kane. And if we don't and we fall short, then you can sell Kane and you've not lost anything. That money's come in. All you're doing is spending it now rather than next year. It makes no sense to just do another season playing it safe, saying we've got no money. And also, like, the amount of revenue we're going to get from the stadium in the next few years, sometimes you've just got to spend before you've got it. And I know that's completely against Levy's mindset.
It's completely against yours, actually.
It's against mine as well, yeah, definitely.
Tightest man I met.
Listen, don't spend what you haven't got, caller. That's what I was always told growing up. So yeah, I think now is the time to do it. And if he doesn't do it, then you can't expect Kane to want to stay. If this summer, if we don't sign anybody, if we sign like one player that kind of gets you excited, it's not enough. Kane needs to see that we're really serious about having a push for it, and that means like seriously investing some money. And I think we should.
Well, I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think the thing is, I want to see a couple of big signings, like 60, 70 million pound signings, like times two. That's the kind of thing we need to get through the door, in my opinion. You know, like a Bruno Fernandes style signing. That's what I want to see. You know, someone who's they're never proven when they come from a different league, but someone who's in that elite tier.
But the thing is, we don't know quite where the market is going to be this year. Like, that sort of figure was fine 2 years ago, but like we're still in the COVID pandemic, lack of money situation. So they might not even be that much. Like 40 million might get you a decent quality player.
Well, on that note,
you 40 million and 50 million and some less.
We might be able to pick up Skriniar from Inter Milan.
But this is exactly. There will be teams in financial strife, like Real Madrid and Barcelona are there. We could probably get some cheapies off them as well. But there's definitely some really, if you put some shrewd fucking effort into this. Is
that Ericsson? Ericsson? Yeah, we're getting the band back together. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, get on it. Brendan's internet's terrible. It's funny. Dave King says, question for you guys. Do you think the players will agree with Poch's double training sessions this time round?
Bale won't.
Well, he's gone anyway. Or will Poch have to change for the players? What are you saying?
Bale's going to get one of those injuries that lasts like Monday to Thursday, and then he just turns up for Friday training. I think, yeah, I'm all right now, Gaffer. My legs healed up. Yeah. I can do an afternoon session. Listen, I think the thing for Poch as well is that we talked about this rebuild, and all right, we've had 8 new players, I think it is, since he's left. Or is Lascelles also one of those? I can't remember. 7 or 8.
Yeah.
7 or 8 new players since he's gone. But there's still a big core of that team remaining. And I think that's an issue again with having Poch in. And those players, if they'd stop buying into his methods and they'd stop being inspired by his leadership at that point, that's again another big concern, which is why he needs to leave it longer. I would say that it's fine having a few remnants of an old Poch team there that are going to remember him and say, like, when he comes in, Poch is a great guy, you're going to love this.
Yeah.
But when you've got like at least sort of like 14, 15, maybe even 16 players that were there a year and a half ago, they all know Poch. They know that feeling of what it was like towards the end. Maybe some of them will feel like they need to put in an effort because they sort of hung him out to dry a little bit with bad performances. But it just doesn't work for me. And yeah, it's interesting. I think last year, I do think we looked a bit leggy at times. And I feel like maybe a Poch double session or a hard sort of pre-season training would have put us in better stead, to be fair.
Yeah. You back, Bren? You all right?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you fine. I can see you fine. You look beautiful. No. You look slightly sober for you, actually. I like this one. Stuart Such, will we re-sign Danny Rose? We can come back to Poch. Brent, just on that, Danny Rose obviously left the club today, along with Paolo Gazzaniga. You look like you're frozen, so maybe this one's coming your way instead, Franco. I always want to keep... that's my ringtone face for Brendan. It's absolutely my ringtone face when he calls. What are you thinking about that, Franco? Do you want to pay a tribute to Danny Rose?
Not really, no. Cheers, Danny. You were really good for Seb says 6 months. It's probably more like 2 seasons. But even then,
Seb's not his
I
biggest
like
fan.
Danny Rose. No, Seb's not his biggest fan. I like Danny Rose. I like him a lot. I think some of his interviews were definitely questionable, and it soured the relationship, I think, with some of the fans and certainly with the club a bit as well. And I just feel a bit sorry for him because he's clearly got, he's got some issues that he's having to deal with, and they're never easy. Even if you're a footballer with loads of money, they're never easy. So, yeah, I thank him a lot. Like, we had some great times with Danny, with him on one side, Walker on the other. It was a great time to be a Spurs fan. The only other thing is he makes me feel good because his moves are as bad as mine, and he's a professional footballer. you see that photo of him? I was like, oh, he's putting on even more timber.
That, yeah.
So we can see what he's been doing in lockdown. But yeah, fair play to that. I don't know whether he's ever going to play football again, to be honest, because he doesn't look like he's in great condition.
He was last seen writing his car off in Northampton.
Yeah, it's just a shame for him because I do feel like he had more to give, and the fact that we didn't manage to get rid of him, he was hoping he'd be off to Milan. He should have probably, and then Genoa, and then wasn't it, and then that didn't happen either. So I feel a bit bad for him that he didn't sort of get to leave on good terms, and he's just been wasting away by all accounts. So yeah, it'd be nice to see him on the football pitch for another time, even if it is probably several levels lower down on the footballing pyramid.
Hey, Bren.
Hey, guys.
You sorry?
Is it best to just leave it now?
No, because it's all right intermittently, so it's fine.
Okay.
Is Danny Rose? You disappointed to see him go?
No, I'm disappointed in the way he went. I think this may have been covered while I was trying to reconnect. It's sad that it ended like that. He was playing with the under-23s, or training, with the under-23s, and I'd like to remember him for the good memories. So the goal against the Goons, for drinking a Heineken after the semi-final win over Ajax. I do like Danny Rose. Many people don't, but I was a fan of him. He spoke out over many issues. But I wish him well, and it'd be great to see him, like Franco said, playing football again. And
Gazzaniga, obviously, the male model. You're sad to see him go.
My missus probably is, but no, he's a good-looking guy. But I think we need to get rid of Hart as well. To be honest, our backup options aren't great. Hugo's been amazing this season, but yeah, Gaza, cheers, dude. Good-looking bastard.
Do you really need an amazing goalkeeping backup when you know your keeper's likely to play every game?
Nearly every season we've had to use a reserve goalkeeper at some point. Like Lloris was always getting injured for a period, wasn't he? That's the word. I mean, last year he didn't, but we still had Hart in the Europe, and he didn't really look that convincing. I can see the argument that Gaz is probably thinking, well, I'm better than Joe Hart, but him leaving frees up a non-homegrown spot, doesn't it? So we're pretty tight on that anyway. So I can see why he's gone, because at the end of the day, just play a youngster, isn't it? Just we've got, I don't even know who's there now. Whiteman, is it?
Whiteman, yeah. Whiteman's he seems to have been there all my life, but I'm sure it's probably only about 5 years.
He's about 35 now. Yeah, he was a youth player.
yeah, exactly right. Getting some love here, Brent. Apparently, you look a bit like Burt Reynolds. You haven't been called Burt Reynolds before?
No. Neil Morrissey from Men Behaving Badly. Tim Henman. Oh, Dale Winton.
Tim Henman?
Dale Winton.
I can see that.
Pre shitty beers, yeah, Dale Winton.
I can see Dale Winton. Dale Winton's within you. Actually, that's the wrong choice of
yeah, exactly. Dale Winton is within you.
Dale Winton is within you, Brendan.
Jeez.
Oh, I've lost my head. Head's gone. So if we go down the list of people that are still in the frame, so supposing in this weird parallel universe we're living in right now, I'm ever more convinced when Pochettino is being touted as the next Tottenham manager that life is a simulation, and someone is really fucking with us upstairs. Roberto Martinez is now second favourite at 6-1. How did that happen, Franco?
God knows, mate. I think there would literally be riots. Like, nobody wants Martinez. The thing is, he's one of these managers. I've said he's never been given an opportunity at a big club, Everton isn't a big club. I'm sorry. Everton, when he was there, were just a team that were kind of wanting to be without really backing him to do so, I don't think. And he's done well with the Belgian squad. I think he lost like 4 or 5 games in the whole time he's been there. And I know like Belgium have got decent players. They have got like the depth in their team, but he's done quite well. And they came third, didn't they, in the last tournament?
Yeah, they beat us in the third round playoff.
Yeah, it was a third round playoff against us. So they came third ahead of us. He's done all right, but he doesn't inspire anything, and I think that's the problem. Because wasn't it the year that they won? Wigan won the cup, didn't they get relegated that season? That was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's just like that's a real like. How do you feel about that? It's like we've got
endorsement. Yeah,
we've got silverware, but we were so shit in the league that we got relegated. So yeah, he's not really done it at a big club, and somebody's got to give him the opportunity. But I don't think that means it's got to be Spurs. So I can fully understand why people aren't on board with Martinez.
Yeah, so can I. I don't think we need to waste any further breath on it because, quite frankly, in my head, that's not going to happen. Right, here's something I do want to happen. Antonio Conte, 8-1, which seems like quite long odds to me, given that yesterday was about 2-1. Maybe it's because of the emergence of Poch. But, Bren, would you be on the Conte train?
Absolutely. A winner, literally a winner. Won, 2 weeks ago, the Italian League? Of course. Like, he's proven in Premier League as well. He speaks English. He's a winner. And I didn't like the story yesterday about it came from his camp that apparently we were looking for a softer manager than him. And I was like, nah, come on. And to me, again, I read that as maybe him sort of flirting with us a bit, challenging the players. Like, you guys couldn't handle me. I'm too tough for you guys.
Yeah.
So
you want some of this? You want some of this action? Yeah, do you? You sure, Daniel? I tell you what, that GIF I shared on Twitter, the one with Livy getting whacked by Conte, it's gone viral. Hundreds of retweets and likes. Because everyone wants to see that exact same thing. Because that's what would happen. If Conte came in, do you really think, Franco, for 2 seconds he would take any shit whatsoever from Levy? I can't see that.
Well, I just think they would disagree on stuff. That's why I don't think it's going to happen, if I'm perfectly honest. I think he would get the arse, the same as he's probably got the arse at the moment, the same as he got the arse at Chelsea. Like what came in, it was that switch to a 3 at the back, just completely changed their fortunes that season. They went and smashed the league, didn't they? And they were actually quite good. But then the next year, as soon as things started to go wrong, he just became such a moody, sulky guy. And I can see that easily happening at Spurs as well, if I'm perfectly honest.
So to the Mourinho's, isn't it?
Yeah, to a degree. I don't know Conte well enough. I've not watched anything since he's gone back to Italy. I've not seen any of that, so I don't know how he handles himself. But it's just like from the interviews and stuff before, he's very quietly spoken, and he's, he had a bit of needle with Klopp and with Jose in his time there, and he handled it quite well. He's he knows how to handle himself. But like I said, I just felt like the mood at Chelsea just fell as it, and all the results went with it, and then that was it. He was gone. And I think we need someone a bit more long term, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm not sure how our players would deal with it. If they didn't like Jose, I can't see why they would like Conte. And that's my concern, is that I just think maybe this squad aren't set up, or that they've not got the right people and the right attitude at the moment to have a manager like Jose and like him who come in and just say, right, you need to win, you need to do it exactly my way, or it's not going to work. I think you need someone a bit who's going to be a bit more sort of putting your arm around players and stuff. But again, it depends what players we get in. There's so much stuff to consider, and I think that's the problem. If you get Conte, a lot of people have said whatever manager comes in needs to be backed, but with Conte, I feel like he definitely needs to be, because I don't think he'll be able to do anything particularly great with the squad we've got at the moment.
Yeah, I like this. Dave King, first week from Conte. Bale has a black eye, Deli's on crutches, and Ori is found dangling from the top floor of the Spurs Stadium. I think we'd all want to see that. Brent, as Paul Muir points out, Jose was a winner, proven winner.
Yep.
Same thing, isn't it? 2015 was his last league win, wasn't it?
Okay. So
Conte's was 2 weeks ago.
More relevant winner.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that we can't just tar him with the Jose brush. He's his own man. He's 6 months older than Ten Hag, who's supposed to be the new up and coming, understands the players and sits down with them and stuff. Like, Conte is not Mourinho. I would take Conte in a heartbeat. The players love him. If you look, he's animated, but he's not animated towards the players. I don't ever see that. All I see is him embracing the players and talking to them. He looks intense.
Very
But
Italian.
you want someone intense. Yeah. You want some intensity. You want some energy from the touchline.
Are you telling me that
And he
Ryan
gives-
Mason didn't quite float your boat, Brendan?
Yeah, like it is the carbon opposite of Ryan Mason, who I didn't ever see shout from the dugout. And again, every manager has their style, but Conte, I don't think that he necessarily is this evil Jose Mark II. No, he's won the league in Italy within weeks ago, and he's won the Premier League. I'd take him. I'd take him.
Ryan Mason's technique of talking was just like bizarre. It's like this. He's like this every time you see him. He's talking to someone like this, and I don't think what he's saying was that top secret. It couldn't be aired on TV.
They all do it, don't they? All...
Well, not Conte just launches into tirades on the touchline from everything. I mean, I saw us play Chelsea, and honestly, I've never seen someone up and down like have so much energy on the touchline. Incredible! That's got to get you
more passion than Tim Sherwood.
Got to get you fired up when you're playing football. If that guy is like kicking every ball with you, he's like a lunatic. I'm absolutely Conte in. Conte in all the way for me. Honestly. I would take him over Poch in a heartbeat because he's proven that he can win. And I think it would mean that, I think you're right, Franco, it would absolutely mean that the board have got to back him in terms of bringing players in. And that would have to be one of the conditions he comes, because I can't see him like going, oh yeah, don't worry about it, I'll make do with the squad. Yeah, Aurier's my everything I look for in a right back. It's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, and the one redeeming thing about Ten Hag is at least he's growing old gracefully and he's letting himself go bald, whilst Conte's obviously had the hair transplants, like you, Caller. Yeah. So,
transplant, look at that. Just a lot of it. These
or like Ericsson, rather.
Yeah, I tell you, I would though. I'll be honest, I would. Drop us a comment if you're going bald, but would like a hair transplant. Because absolutely, I can tell you now, if I was losing this beautiful do, then I would absolutely lash out and do that. It's a bit like teeth, isn't it? Would you go for like implants or just have a gap? There's absolutely no way I'd have a gap. Implant all the way.
HG just made an interesting comment. Do you want to read that, or should I? It says Jose falls out with the players, Conte falls out with the board. Exactly. Either isn't particularly great, though, is it? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, the board need a rocket up them, and he's the guy to give it to him. If the board was serious, bring him in and have some home truths.
Home truths. I can just imagine it's like board meeting with Conte going like this little Italian guy going like gesturing, going completely ballistic at little Daniel Levy. Be wonderful, wouldn't it? Fly on the wall of that. Fair point. Conte had Conte. Good.
Well, and also, didn't he fall out? I'm reading this now, so I don't know why I'm questioning it. He did fall out with John Terry, I remember now. Or like, he wasn't playing him, was he?
Good.
He didn't
Even
think he
more
would.
reason to bring him in.
That just means that definitely I'm even more on board with him.
And it was a tactical argument. Yeah, exactly. It was a tactical argument, which is good because he's thinking about the best thing for the team rather than looking after sort of old racists.
Bren.
Yeah.
What's that glass?
What's the glass? It's this glass.
He's not at home, is he? So he's got a slightly larger one. They probably didn't have a small enough one for him in the cupboard.
And I'm drinking cider because I haven't drunk cider in almost 2 years. Like, so I'm on the cider.
So when it comes to feedback for the Airbnb, Bren's going to write, you should have a smaller glass.
You should have some smaller glasses. I'm just going to take massive exception to this sidecar. I was just on a tangent. My missus looked at the screen, saw Caller, and said, I thought he was called HG. She literally thinks they're the same person. I mean, I literally look nothing like HG, but thanks very much. And
She's
it's great.
right, though.
I suppose I don't know what's more worrying about that is the fact that your missus knows what HG looks like. Is possibly a worry for you, Saikara. Scott says, "Can we talk about the biggest outgoing transfer this season? Never mind Enoch out, Hitchens out." Well, I think we're all praying against all real reality that Hitchens is going to get fired and we're going to get Ragnick. Would that be fair? If he came in as DOF, you'd be happy with that, would you, Bren?
Yeah, or someone with a footballing. It depends who the manager is. If it's Conte, apparently he wants to bring this guy. I forgot his name. The guy that he didn't fall out with, that he did have a close relationship with. So it depends on the manager. But we do need some kind of. I've said this so many times, but we need to have a director of football. We need a football person making those football decisions, and or at least advising, helping. Like Daniel Levy, just because he's there in the boxes and knows a few fans, he's very good, very, very good at some elements. But on other elements, he needs to let professionals take care of that. And he's a smart guy and he should know that.
Well, we say smart. At least done a lot of stupid things lately. Okay, let's go down the list. Next up, Ten Hag, who seems to be being a little bit forgotten and overlooked these days. Am I wrong? He hasn't got a look in for days, really. He's not in the mainstream. He's flying below the radar like a stealth bomber. Although they fly really high, so that's a bad analogy. But go on.
But as we've pointed out, these are all being driven by Sky. Sky are the ones that have been driving the Pochettino one. I know the guy. I saw the interview where he's like, "I've heard from someone very close to the club that they are in advanced talks and it's looking very likely." And you're like, I think it would just dissipate and then there'll be somebody else. I really do feel like a lot of this is being driven by betting markets, because whoever it is, like Nuno leaves Wolves, he's instantly the favourite, odds-on favourite. Ten Hag at one point was the odds-on favourite. Nagelsmann was at one point the odds-on favourite. I know a certain somebody that put 200 quid on that because they were sure it was going to happen. It's just, there's probably been about 7, 8, maybe even 9 odds-on favourites, and then they all just slowly drop down. Like Potter's at 6 now?
Potter's at 14 to 1.
14?
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Yeah, I lumped on at like 6.5.
Did you really? Do you think there's any chance it could still be Potter, Franco?
Yeah, I do think there's a chance. Not massive, because it does feel like, I feel a little bit like these rumours get put out there as well, and then because social media and stuff is so reflective these days, anybody with the social media account at Spurs can go on there and gauge what Spurs fans think about stuff. Like you can look at your poll and go, wow, people really want Poch. So it's really easy to do and gauge what fans want. And that's the thing that concerns me a little bit, is that we shouldn't be making these appointments based upon what fans want. We just shouldn't. The whole idea of like having a fan selecting players that we buy is just a stupid idea. Like we need to be more professional about this. We need to be like thinking about what sort of football we want to play, what sort of manager we want in is going to get the best out of these players, and how we're going to support them, whether they're going to be able to work under those conditions with whatever financial constraints we've got in the future. So yeah, it concerns me a little bit that we might not be doing that, and we might be looking at managers like Poch. I think we should be looking at the best ones in terms of tactics and what they're going to get out of the squad and the football we're going to play. And I still think Potter's a decent shout. I know Seb doesn't like him.
I like him.
Yeah, I mean, we can't argue that the football that they play is not better than what we've played in the last
Brendan doesn't
2.5
like him.
years.
He's shaking his head. Brendan, you're not.
But he's an uninspiring manager. He's got a haircut like a 12-year-old boy, hasn't he? Well, not these days, but do you know what I mean? He's just seems like a very average guy, and sometimes that's what you need. But I don't. Yeah, it's that thing about whether he's going to be able to make the leap to a slightly larger club than Brighton.
I don't know. For me, I get that he does have the degree in, was it emotional science, something like that?
Emotional intelligence or something. Yeah.
Emotional intelligence. Sorry, thank you. Which is great. I mean, if Dawson wants to cry, come on, have a cry with Dawson. No, come on. I'd take him, but at the same time, I don't think that. a guy who finished in 17th with 9 wins all season. And I get the XG. Pre-XG, he would not have been even thought of as an option. If this was the 90s and Dave Berrington finished 17th with Southampton, we wouldn't be all, let's get the guy that finished in 17th. No, because of XG and because everyone sees that the amount of points that they would have got had they had a decent striker, everyone's going crazy over Potter. For me, I think it's a risk. He doesn't have experience at the top level, which is where we are.
Well, I mean, that's debatable.
What do we want to be?
It's where we want to be. It's where we want to be.
Top level stadium, not quite a top level squad.
Yes, exactly right. Although at the start of last season, let's face it, we were all very happy with the squad. So I think there is a good 10% of performance in there, just by having a manager who gets the most out of them. I don't think I genuinely, I've said this a lot, I don't think the situation is as bad as everybody thinks it is. No,
but look at the England selection for the tournament. I know like Southgate's picking it, so it doesn't really mean a huge amount. But like Eric Dyer was never going to go to this tournament
because he's been shit this year.
Yeah. And that's the point. Is like at the last tournament, he was one of the key players, as was Trippier, as was Kane, as was Dele was in there as well. And you wouldn't expect Dele to go. You wouldn't expect Dyer to go. Obviously, Trippier, Rose, they're no longer with us. But yeah, the English contingent is certainly not as strong. And I think some of the other international players we've got, they're not sort of anywhere near the best in their country. We've got Brazilians and Argentinians that aren't really like key features in their squad. So, don't know, could be better. I think it's not quite as good as it was 4 or 5 years ago either.
I'm just going to come back to a couple of things about Potter, because I am a bit Potter-in, I'll be honest. I think he's a decent. He's probably like third down my list, but he's quite high up my list. A lot of people he's like not registering at all. Daniel, one of our patrons, thank you very much. If you're not a Patreon, by the way, explore the link, the ticker below. The web address is there. Do get on it. It's very good service. I'm sure they'll all testify. Potter needs more experience, and Paul Muir, who's also a patron and appears on our beautiful podcast, Poch didn't have experience. He didn't.
No, he had some. I mean, Espanyol were in the top division in Spain, weren't they? And he did manage at Southampton, so he had a tiny bit more, maybe. I don't know. Because what's the Swedish club? Östersund, was it?
Yeah, he took them from nowhere to top league.
I admit, I've not read that story. I'm assuming that he had some financial backing as well, or they got some players in, or was it purely on his coaching alone that he managed to get these minnows up to the top flight? It was purely on his
emotional intelligence degree.
He just like sat down with them stretched them out on a psychiatrist chair, and was just like, right, let's talk about your childhood. This is
it. Next thing you know, they're winning the league.
Yeah, striker who can't hit a barn door is now smashing in 30 goals a season because he's had a counselling session. I don't know, but he was there for quite a while, wasn't he? And that's the thing. And obviously they weren't a big team, and they're not in a big league. And wasn't he at Swansea for a year?
Yeah, I think it was only a year. Yeah.
So again, not a huge amount of experience, and yeah, he's not really been at Brighton for a huge amount of time either. So maybe he does need a bit more time, because there's a lot of managers that look good for 1 season, maybe 2 seasons, like Eddie Howe, but in the end they kind of, they struggle, they end up getting relegated. Decent managers, but you just think, do we need something a bit better than that? That's the question. And like Brent says, that they've not finished particularly high in the league at all. So it's up for debate. I still think the football they play is good, which says to me that he's probably quite a decent manager. It's just whether he is ready. And I think that's the problem. We've got a few managers that probably aren't ready, a few managers we definitely don't want, and then a few others where we're not really too sure.
I mean, was Solskjaer
whether they're the right choice?
Who did Solskjaer manage? Is it Mould in Norway?
Yeah.
Same scenario, to a degree. I just think we can talk about people not being ready till we're blue in the face. At some point, they've got to be given their big break. And, if you give, obviously, it's an obvious thing to say, if you give one of these managers a break, like we did with Pochettino, and it turns out well, you look like super genius. But if it turns out bad, it's a massive risk. So, I fully appreciate it's a really difficult thing to decide.
Yeah, and by the way, Solskjaer's not won anything, so...
He's not, no. He's not, no, especially after last night. It did feel a bit... I mean, it's not really his fault when it comes down to penalties. And that, imagine you've gone through how many games? I mean, they dropped into it from the Champions League, but you've gone through all those games in the Europa League, and then you get to the final, and it all comes down to your keeper taking a penalty to keep you in it. I mean, that is a pretty shit way to finish it, isn't it? I've got to be honest. My dad on the phone to me today, outraged. He was like, "They should bring back replays or share the cup." I'm like, share it. He's like, well, even that would be better than this stupid penalty shootout business.
10-year-olds. We can't have any winner. We don't want anyone to get upset and start crying. So you just share
Everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a
winner.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's the truth.
Badge. You'll get a medal.
Well, that's my dad. You see, idealistic.
I don't know how. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. What happened to you, caller? He sounds like a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. I don't know, really. Power corrupts. I'm just going through the... So, after Potter, then it's Rodgers, Santo, Klinsmann, who threw his hat in the ring, didn't he, this week? Bless him, Jurgen.
Did he?
Did you see that? Well, he did a Sky interview and said, my door is always open to Daniel Levy. I've got a really good relationship with the club.
Of course it is, Jurgen.
It's like, if anyone wants to give me a call. Give me a call, Daniel. Give me a call. It's my card. Call me. It's like that. Not a fan, Bren. No.
As a player, I loved him. Like I think I told you, I touched him once when he jumped into the crowd, and didn't wash my hand for a week.
Where did you touch him?
Oh, on the shoulder or something. He scored against West Ham. We won 1-0. And I always sat on the first 2 rows in the Paxton end, right behind the goal. And yeah, he just jumped into the crowd. I was like, oh, yeah, good. I just touched him. But no, I wouldn't want him as a manager. He's not got a great track record. USA were pretty happy to let him go. And for Germany, he got to the semis when the World Cup was in Germany. So he's not shown it. I love the guy, but... No, not as a manager.
Well, there you go. What else do you want to talk about, Franco? England squad? England squad?
No, I don't want to talk about the England squad at all. I don't care about it. I mean, when the tournament starts, I'm going to watch it all, but I don't really care about who gets selected for England. I don't feel passionately about England anymore at all. I'm literally a club football man, and that's
Disconnected. Your idea of a successful tournament is being knocked out as fast as possible so they can all have some rest. Yeah.
The problem is the time when we had like Cole and Lampard and Terry in the squad, and I was just like, I hate all of these players. So how can I support this lot? How can I? And it's difficult, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of rival players' teams, and I was just like, I can't get behind these. Can't even be happy when they score. So I struggle. The only time I've really enjoyed it is when we had quite a few Spurs players in for the last few years, and like Kane getting the golden boot, scoring shit goals. So yeah, I'll watch the tournament because it's on and it'll pass the time. But yeah, I'm not really interested, to be honest, mate.
If you're a betting man, Franco, who will end up with this job?
I told you I put my money on Potter. It might be wrong, but I just feel like at the moment they're so undecided about who it's going to be. And I don't think the problem is that there's no obvious choices there, which is why there's so much speculation, which is why Sky Bet are making all this money, because they know that there's no obvious answer. And today you've had Real Madrid. Did Zidane leave, or was he got rid of?
Well, he burned the stadium down, or tried to, and then left. Yeah, in a
Pirlo has been relieved of responsibilities at Juve after they've had a shit season, and that's probably like a Allegri go. So there's a few moving pieces now, which is almost like a bad thing. You almost think like some of these managers are going to get taken, and we're going to get left with whoever's left, isn't it? And our decision's going to get made for us. But that's it. It's almost like Levy will be like, "Wow, yeah, all the other options went to other teams," and fans will go mental. They'll be like, "We should have struck early." But that is a fear for me. Is that if we're after Conte, we're going to have to move fast because he'll be gone.
If Potter gets appointed,
to Real Madrid,
they're going to storm. Why aren't they? I can just imagine the Enoch Outlaw will be in there like an angry mob.
But the problem is like I said 2 weeks ago, a lot of people were on board with Potter. They were like, yeah, maybe it's the right decision. But now you've got Conte. People are like, yes, I definitely have Conte. And now you've got Poch. People are like, yes, I would definitely take that. So we're fucked now regardless, if I'm honest. I just think there's not going to be an appointment apart from maybe one of those two.
Ten Hag, I think, will end up with it.
But again, he's like the one in the middle where probably 50% of people will go, all right. The other 50% of people will be like not convinced, and then he'll have a big job coming in. It's difficult. Like this is why I could see why we appointed Jose like 18 months ago. It wasn't the right fit for the job, but he brought that esteem and all the stuff that he'd won. So you could see that a lot of fans would go, yeah, all right, that's an ambitious signing. Can see where that's going. Like you could never have sacked Poch and then brought in somebody like Potter. Do you know what I mean? No. It just wouldn't work. And I think that's the problem right now is that you've gone from Jose,
manage expectations, don't you? Got manage expectations.
Got to hit the ground running, mate. And there's a lot. Like the more this drags on, the more worried I get, if I'm honest, because I just think there's a massive job to do at Spurs this summer. I'm not convinced we're going to do it.
The rebuild. Bren, who do you want? And who do you think? Sorry, who do you think it will be? That's what I want to know.
It is so up in the air, but I've always been behind Ten Hag. That was up until 2 days ago. When the Poch and Conte news came in, I'd take Conte. If we can get Conte, I'd take Conte. Like there's baggage issues with Poch. Ten Hag they play great football, but unproven in terms of Premier League. Conte is proven at Premier League. Just won the league last week, I think I said. So he'd be my number one. Who do I think it will be? Potter.
Do you actually think it would be Potter?
I think so. I know there's so many narratives going on. For a recluse like Daniel Levy, he fucking loves the drama. He loves like the stuff. And I think it's like Franco was saying, it's about the betting odds as well. Sky Bet are involved. But it's every day. It's a different story, a different narrative. We're trending on Twitter. We're trending on that. And Levy loves that. And there's lots of dogs barking right here. I think you might be able to, yeah.
I think just keep it going from a Levy perspective. He's probably clearing up, putting bets on all these things, inside knowledge and all the rest of it, insider trading. Got to get some money back into the transfer kitty, haven't we? Talking of money back into the transfer kitty, I know a few people, especially some of the people we know, Franco, have monkeyed a load of money on the new kit. And Paul is desperate for me to discuss the fact that it's ribbed by the look of it.
It is ribbed for her pleasure. I must say that Paul Muir, it showed off his guns, definitely. So it's good if you're sort of been working out and you go to the gym, but for people like me and Caller,
Whoa, you can't put me in the same camp as you, Sunshine.
I can. Your weight fluctuates more than cryptocurrencies at the moment, Caller.
Yeah, but I can get it down.
Whatever, man. You do like 3 days on the Peloton, then you do 3 days at McDonald's. Like you're eating pick and mix all the time.
That's
so anyway,
amazing.
I mean, if you want to go and get yourself a Spurs shirt tomorrow and then put photos online, then by all means, prove me wrong. I will not be buying that shirt. I like it. It looks quite nice. It's plain simple. I'm not sure about the ribbed effect, but it's probably the best we're going to get from Nike. And if those third kits, which are just like the worst elements of the 90s.
I like them.
Why? It's the sort of thing like a kid would wear in the 90s. They're just so weird.
With the kids.
It's like some LSD inspired camo. I don't like it at all. Not for me. It's got to wear some classy colours. And I quite like some of the kits we've had in the last few years, but I'm now starting to sort of look back on some of the Under Armour kits with a bit of envy and thinking they were quite nice. But why can't we just have some nice
kits? They're good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the new ones are nice, but again, like the amount of money they want for it. What is it, 120 quid for a pro kit or elite kit?
Elite kit. I mean, 70 quid. It's $69.95 on the Nike store. There you go.
What's that? Just a standard shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you're paying 70 quid for a standard football shirt, and then there's another tier. There's like 2 tiers now, isn't there?
What do you mean?
There's 3. You can buy 3 different types of kit. The elite one, and then there's one in between. There's
like one in between?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just the elite and the normal.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
I don't think you are. Have a look. Brendan, do you like
Who's your money on? Viewers, who's your money on?
Bren, do you like the kit?
Do I like the kit? Yeah, better than this season's. It does look a bit ribbed, and it does look like you were saying, that it's a bit like one of the first Kappa kits, where it just sucks
Oh yeah,
onto
they
you.
were tight.
Yeah.
They were tight. You had to bring them like. When I bought them, I think if you look on the wall in the man cave, there's a couple up there, and they're proper XLs. They are just to give you enough room. You know, it's all right when you're standing up. When you sit down, you look like it's not good.
It's not a pretty sight. It's not a pretty sight. The Canute season, you know what I mean. But yeah, Knight's kits haven't been great. Like this season's was awful. I thought it would grow on me, and it didn't. Like the home kit with the zigzag and the purple, the pink finishing, it just didn't grow on me, and normally they do. So this one, I like it. It's simplicity, like our logo.
Green one was the best one this year, I think. Last year, I should say. I like that one. But anyway, we're going to wrap up now. We've been gabbing for an hour. So look, guys, subscribe, like, and please do click the bell. I don't mean Brendan. I mean the bell that gives you notifications every time we go live. So absolutely, please do that. Brendan, thanks for joining me with your slightly patchy internet from Portugal. How much longer are you in Portugal for?
I'm here till the 7th, then flying to Heathrow, where I don't need to quarantine. Woohoo!
And then we can have a meet up and a tear up, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to see the cheese room go large in London town, tearing it up, then also do drop a comment, and maybe we'll meet you. Franco, thanks very much for joining me this lovely evening.
Yeah, no worries. I don't know when we're doing pods now. Yes, I feel a bit lost. I feel like we should get a pod out at some point as well. But yeah, maybe we'll do one at the weekend.
You're not on a season review, are you? You don't want to do season
We'll have
review.
another 3 candidates for manager by the weekend. So,
well, ideally, we're going to appoint fairly soon, aren't we? It's got to be done in the next week. We can't go much longer. So
Monday.
Fingers crossed.
My money's on Monday. Right, that's it. Thank you very much. Go on, you Spurs.
Yeah, come on, you Spurs.